And welcome everyone. Today is Monday. We are now towards the end of this week. We are approaching the next reset. So what is worth talking about for today is what you should keep an eye out on for the next few days and next few weeks to remind yourself in case you forgot. So first of all, I am going to direct you back to last week's video, which was the reminder of completing all of these tasks for flying, because now it's just a couple of days away. It's 1 day away for NA, a couple of days away for EU. It's going to be the next reset, which is going to unlock the 6th chapter of the story, which is what is going to give you flying, provided you have completed all of these achievements that we talked about. So if you haven't done them yet, go and complete them all so that by the reset you can get your flying. So that is the first thing to point out. Second, the other thing we have to talk about is the reputation, because while we are also getting flying this week, what is going to happen next week is the chapter 7. So what happens in chapter 7 is that you complete it and you will be given a freebie legendary at 265 item level. This legendary is the Girdle of Unity. It's the legendary that is going to contain all of your covenant powers. Regardless of which covenant you choose, it's going to automatically change to that covenant legendary. So the important part, of course, is that not only are you going to be given this legendary for free, what is more important is that once you reach Revered Reputation with the Enlightened, you will be able to buy from the Reputation vendor the Memory of Unity. This is a memory just like any other legendary memory that you can get in the game. And once you get this memory, you're going to be able to craft this covenant legendary, this multi-covenant legendary in whichever piece you want. What is relevant isn't just the fact that now you can choose which slot you want. For example, perhaps you just looted, like me, like myself, you just looted a mythic belt at 278 item level. So you don't want your covenant legendary to be in the belt. So reaching Revered and being able to craft the legendary wherever you want allows you, for example, to aim at one of your lowest item level pieces to change it into a legendary, or perhaps to change one of the slots with terrible stats for you. You can instead use the legendary crafting system to choose whichever secondary stat you want, etc., etc. That is one of the benefits you can get by being able to craft your covenant legendary instead of having it given to you in the belt. The other point, which is likely more important, is that reaching Revered, getting the Memory of Unity and allowing you to craft this covenant legendary wherever you want also gives you a much higher item level, because the belt given to you for free at the completion of chapter 7 is going to be at 265 item level. While, this week was possible, so perhaps some of you have already crafted their legendary, have already upgraded their legendary to 291 item level. That is the same item level that you will be able to craft the Memory of Unity at. So you will be able to change the free legendary belt given to you, which is at 265 item level, and you're forced to use it in the belt, into whichever slot you want at 291 item level. You can choose the massive, big slots in your gear, like the chest, the shoulders, or the helm, to gain massive stats, because you're going to bring that piece at 291 item level. So it's tons of secondary stats and primary stat as well. Of course, you run the risk of being in the same slot of a tier piece, right? So it is kind of risky to craft it there, or perhaps you can craft it in a more safe spot, like the bracers, right? Who gives a shit about the bracers? Maybe one of the rings, right? You have 2 rings, you might as well use one for your Covenant Legendary. So talking about the reputation that you need, which is Revered, I wanted to give you a heads up, to run some numbers up to this point, so you can see for yourself if you're anywhere close to being Revered with the Enlightened. Because next reset, so that the 6th chapter of the story, you're gonna get the weekly quest, 1250 reputation, and then on Wednesday or on Tuesday, so essentially 10 days from now, you're gonna get another weekly quest for another 1250 reputation. What you're also gonna be getting next week and on the Tuesday or Wednesday of the reset after is the 500 reputation from the world boss being defeated twice. So it's essentially 3,500 reputation already. This is without you doing any world quests, without you killing any rares. Just from the 2 weeklies and the 2 world bosses, you're getting 3,500 reputation. Then what is left is the 3 world quests that you can do every day up until the start, the reset day. That is going to be roughly 9 days, depending if you're in an A or U of world quests. This is going to total out to be 6,700 reputation. So look at your rep bar, the 12,000 honored rep that you need to fill to reach Revered. If you are currently at or above 5,300 reputation with the Enlightened at honored, you will be Revered the day Chapter 7 activates and you can get your double legendary. What this means is that you will have the reputation needed to buy the Memory of Unity and craft your Covenant legendary wherever you want. So you won't even care too much about the free 265 item level Covenant legendary that will be given to you in the belt. So this is the reminder for the rep gains. If you're below 5,300 rep, well, what you need then is to kill some rares. You can take, if you really want to min-max this late into the release of the patch, you can get the contract that gives you 10 extra rep for every world quest you complete. So by the time the Chapter 7 reset comes in, you will have completed enough world quests to give you roughly 300 extra rep. So that might be useful to you. And then the rest is just rares. The rest would just have to be filled, would just have to be gapped by rare killing. Then again, I think it should be pretty easy for you to be above 5,000 rep right now at honored if you have done world quests and the weekly and the world boss every week. It's not really that long. It really just takes you about 15 minutes maybe every day. So you should be at this level. So you should be able to have the option to craft your Covenant legendary at 291 item level in whichever slot you want. Then, of course, we could talk about the other problem, which is the current price of the default base white items needed to craft the legendaries. Because I have been seeing reports of some of the legendaries being priced at 400, 300, 200,000 gold. So perhaps some people are kind of poor right now and they don't quite have the money to craft them because they are so pricey. But, you know, when you will actually need to craft this extra legendary, it's going to be in 10 days. I'm sure the price is going to drop even more by then. So you can hold out really on buying these pieces if you're waiting for the prices to drop. Now, the other thing we have to talk about, we have to remind everyone for this week, is the creation catalyst. The thing that has not been in the game yet, but you have seen it. In case you have missed it, in Chapter 4 last week, you did actually the storyline that sent you to the Catalyst Gardens. You know, the place at the bottom of Zereth Mortis filled with plants and stuff, and then you end up going at the top with this thing in the middle. That thing in the middle is the Creation Catalyst, and it is going to unlock on week 8, which is, for the record, April 12th to April 13th. Now, you are saying right now, dude, it's like a month away. Why do I care now? Like, I'm gonna worry about this when it's time. The reason why I'm telling you now is because you need to remember that the Creation Catalyst, which is supposed to be the catch-up mechanism, the safe net mechanism for you to be able to craft your tier pieces, if you haven't been that lucky up to when we will get to week 8. The reason is because the Creation Catalyst uses current gear you own. So it's not gonna use something you can buy from the auction house, a base pattern that you have to buy. What it's going to use is converting items you already have into a tier piece. So, of course, it's the traditional pieces, so you can't transform a weapon, an offhand, or trinkets, or a necklace into tier pieces. It's just the standard normal armor pieces into a tier slot. But what is relevant is that once you transform the piece into a tier set, it is going to maintain the upgrade path of the item. Not only it is going to maintain every other extra thing it has. For example, an item that procced with leech, an item that procced with avoidance, an item that procced with an extra socket. If you turn it into a tier piece, the extra socket or the leech or the avoidance is going to remain on the piece. But what is more important is, for example, if you transform a heroic chest that you looted from the raid at 265 item level, that is going to turn into a 265 tier piece. But if you transform a 262 item level chest that you got from Mythic Plus that is going to turn into a 262 tier piece that can still be upgraded. Just like that 262 Mythic Plus chest could still be upgraded all the way up to 272 item level. It's just that now it's going to be a tier set. The reason why I'm telling you now is because perhaps you have already looted some pieces that you don't think you need right now, right? You don't think are good enough, you don't think it's worth keeping because, for example, you looted this chest from Mythic Plus, but you have already a normal tier piece in the chest, so you can't replace it. Well, you can save that Mythic Plus chest for the future, because once the Creation Catalyst opens, you can upgrade that chest into a tier piece chest. Same goes for any other slot that can hold a tier piece like shoulders, helmet, gloves, and pants. So, of course, the best items to save for your transformation into a tier set are the Mythic Plus or the PvP items if you have high enough rating that can be upgraded. There isn't much of a benefit in saving heroic pieces or normal pieces because they cannot be upgraded. So, of course, it would be best if it was a mythic piece, right? If it was a mythic piece, a chest piece at mythic, you can immediately transform it into a mythic tier set, for example. It might help you make decisions in the future. For example, imagine you are an average mythic guild, perhaps you don't even raid mythic. So in either situation, you will be getting to Mythic Anduin quite a while into the expansion. Quite certainly not before the 8th week of the patch, quite certainly not before the Creation Catalyst opens. And next week, in a couple of days, you will open your Great Vault and you will be offered a 278 piece of gear. That is a helmet. And you're like, damn, I don't really need this helmet because I looted a normal tier piece in my helmet, so I wouldn't be able to equip this. However, you can now think ahead, knowing that once the Creation Catalyst opens, you can turn this mythic helmet being offered to you in the Great Vault, or a Mythic Plus helmet at 278 being offered in the Great Vault, into a tier piece. You know that the only other way for you to get this tier piece is to kill Mythic Anduin, and you know it's gonna take a while before you kill Mythic Anduin. Of course, you could be super lucky and be offered the Mythic helmet in the Great Vault, but that is a very, 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 very low chance. So this might help you stockpile for the future, stockpile good items that right now you can't use, right now they're not good enough perhaps, but in the future they will be. So keep an eye out on pieces that drop with extra sockets, with leech if you need it, with avoidance if you need it. Keep an eye out on Mythic Plus pieces that can be upgraded, that perhaps you don't need now, but always imagine them in the future if they could be turned into a tier set, because you will be able to do so with the Creation Catalyst. These were the set of PSAs for today. The upcoming flying and making sure you have everything for the achievement to be able to fly immediately as soon as the patch comes in and you complete chapter 6. The PSA about the rep, just how much rep is left for you to get Revered and to be able to craft the Covenant Legendary at 291 item level. And then lastly, the Creation Catalyst. Start thinking ahead, start planning to keep on the side some of your pieces, perhaps even pick choices from the Great Vault which might not be great now because those pieces are not that good, but once you can transform them into a tier set will be of a much greater value. So these were the announcements for today. I hope they were useful for at least some of you who had no idea about this or simply forgot about all this stuff. Thank you guys, as usual, for watching the video and for helping the channel in any way you can by liking the video, commenting down below, and even subscribing to the channel. This time around, I'm going to leave the subscribe button open to the players who at least forgot one of these news, 1 out of 3 at least. Thank you guys for watching. You can also follow me up on Twitter to read one of my tweets every 3 weeks over here, and even support me on Patreon if you're high on drugs or perhaps drunk over here as well. This is going to give you access to my Discord channel as well as my gratitude, I guess. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, I don't know what it is, but every time I drink tea, the only tea that makes sense to me is black tea. Any other flavor of tea doesn't make sense to me. It tastes like water. It's weird.